Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and today we are going to be looking at the Ask a Liberal thread on Reddit, and the title is, What is the Appeal of Nick Fuentes? But before we get into that, guys, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, let's just get straight into it. It says, I was only vaguely familiar with Nick Fuentes prior to watching his interview on Piers Morgan. I know he was a groiper who held abhorrently racist, sexist and anti-Semitic views, but I had never actually listened to him until very recently. Now, there are examples of awful people who have nothing but disdain for, but I can on some level at least understand why they have developed a following. Andrew Tate, for example, is a despicable person, but I can see how some misguided young people might see him and his supercars, wealth, women, and alpha personality and think that he's cool. But I cannot even begin to psychologically comprehend the appeal of Nick Fuentes. I understand his fan base is mostly young men. His image and personality is not remotely masculine, it's quite the opposite. He doesn't seem personally happy at all. He openly admits he's a 27-year-old virgin. My generation has a term for guys like him. He is an effing loser, an absolute effing loser. So why does he have a following? Why does Kanye West hang out with him? Why has he had a private audience with the President of the United States? I know there is not one progressive who finds Fuentes appealing in the least, but my question is, what is your theory on his appeal? Well, let's get into the fact that, first of all, you call him an effing loser because he doesn't meet your societal standards that have been the norm for, I guess, the past 60 years, which were not the norm for the vast majority of human history, by the way. So there's already a problem there. You just automatically assume, oh well, he must be an effing loser. But at the same time, why does he have such a big audience and such appeal? Well, maybe the social situation for young men has been such that they can only look to somebody like that. Andrew Tate, while he does, as you say, show super wealth, cars, the alpha personality and all that sort of thing, has that appeal. But men are different. Men have different sets of charisma and appeal. You see, you cannot actually deny the fact that Nick Fuentes has a lot of charisma, and that's why he's got a big audience. One that would, I think, go in front of a car for him versus Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate does not have the same charisma that someone like Nick Fuentes has. It is very different, and it would be very difficult to explain to somebody who's liberal or even female. But let's get into the comments, I would say. So this person, the pragmatic progressive, says, hate. Yeah, hate is the only reason that people follow Nick Fuentes. I mean, yeah, fantastic commentary. And then somebody below that says, yep, it's the shock value for the stupid and emotionally impaired. It's like they think it's funny to poke the bear, and this is their tool. It's also terrible that they would be horrified and self-righteously furious if it happened to them, but think it's hilarious if it happens to someone weaker and unable to fight back. It's basically like everything else modern day Christianity believes in, being a bully. Yeah, okay. So, these guys have basically faced systemic bullying for a long time, that they should be ashamed to be male, that they should be ashamed to do this, that they should be ashamed to do that, and that the education system has obviously been in the favor of females. Let's be honest. But now that they're hitting back and they're finding someone edgy, now all of a sudden you don't like that. Oh well, they're just dumb and stupid and impaired. And this is why you're losing. You still don't understand. And this is a progressive and a liberal. They're supposed to be different from each other. They insist they're different from each other. But hey, look, same opinion. And still out of touch. Next comment by another liberal. Well, if you were a racist, you like other racist people. Pretty easy to get the appeal. And then a centrist Democrat says, birds of a feather flock together. Now, as you can see, it's just out of touch boomer nonsense. This is 80s, 90s language. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody's intimidated by it anymore. And you still do not understand why Nick Fuentes has the appeal that he does. I'm not putting him on a pedestal here. I'm trying to point out to you why he has the appeal he does. And the comments are showing it very, very plainly, I'm sorry to say. And then this person says, another liberal, I think there's a lot of right-wing influencers that preach bigotry and present themselves as winners. Fuentes, to my knowledge, the only one that preaches bigotry but tells you up front that he's a 27-year-old virgin. That he doesn't have anything going for him and that he's just a loser. I think that makes him appear completely authentic and relatable to a large portion of the audience for bigotry. Well, he appears authentic, and it appears like he's telling the truth. I'm not trying to mind read the guy and say that he's the best thing ever. But yes, he does appear authentic, he does appear like he understands young men's plight. And that is why he's getting the appeal and the popularity that he's getting. Because young men want to feel understood. That their issues have been cast aside for a long time. Even a lot of progressives and liberals admit this, by the way. Young men and their issues have been put to the side. And now somebody is appealing to them with those issues, and now all of a sudden it's a problem. And we have to appeal to these young men in terrible, stupid ways, I might add. Some of the cringiest ways they've tried to appeal to young men, especially throughout these past election cycles. But leaving that aside, guys, we're just going to go to the last comment here, and it says and this is a far leftist, and a liberal and a libertarian in one. A far leftist, a liberal and a libertarian walk into a bar and say dumb shit. And well, here it is. He, like many other right-wing podcasters, have tapped into what makes incels tick. That's the far leftist. And then the liberal says, you really have to double click on that. Why has the percentage of people not having sex tripled in the last decade or so? And then the libertarian says, socializing online doesn't lead to physical contact as much as socializing in person. And what about the elephant in the room? What about feminism? Feminism has literally destroyed people's ability to have normal social interactions because they're walking on eggshells and they cannot express themselves in order to build rapport. They are leaving this out, and as you can see, we went through a whole list here of far leftist, liberals, libertarians. They all have, and even a centrist, they have the same opinion on young men, and this is why they are losing young men in droves, and why people like Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, Sneeko, all these people are getting a right-wing young man appeal. Because they still don't get it. And guess what, guys? They never will. They will absolutely rag on this video or any other videos that point out the obvious, but that's their problem to solve, not mine. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.